Malaysian cuisine, as well as the programs and sessions we had yesterday and earlier this morning. So we will continue with Keynote 5. It's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker today, Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias. Professor Karim is a former professor of food technology at University Science Malaysia, where he served for 28 years and held several key leadership roles in academic development and academic governance. Welcome back, Prof.
Okay.
He is currently a principal fellow at University Tenaga Nasional and an adjunct professor at University Malaya and at University Brunei Darussalam. In recent years, he has been widely recognized for his leadership in digital educations, micro-credential, and the applications of artificial intelligence in teaching and learning. Notably, he played a key role in supporting the Malaysian Qualification Agency, MQA, in the development of National Guide to Good Practice on Micro-Credentials. With extensive experience as a keynote speaker and trainer at both national and international levels, today Professor Karim will share his insight in Keynote 5 titled Designing Trust at Scale, Malaysia's Micro-Credentials Ecosystem in Actions. Please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon, everyone. I know this is a sleepy time for many of us after lunch. First of all, thank you to the organizer for having me for this to share about some of my experience on micro-credential. Every time when I have the opportunity to come to this campus, I will grab the opportunity because I spend my life, I would call it a second home for me. Been here for more than 30 years as a staff as well as a student here. Now, when we talk about micro-credential, I started to talk about micro-credential back in 2018. And before that, MOOC, I led the national MOOC for Malaysia, involving 20 public universities. Those were the days in 2012. I was involved also in UNESCO Open Educational Resources, OER, and now micro-credential. And I truly believe in the power of micro-credential because if you can describe micro-credential in one word, what would it be? To me, micro-credential is all about flexibility, flexible education. And in Malaysia, now, and moving forward, Malaysia is advocating and championing flexible education, flexible learning, and lifelong learning. And lifelong learning is going to be a big agenda for Malaysia under 13 Malaysian Plan. And I know this for a fact because I was involved last year in the National Education Reform Studies, looking at the whole landscape of education from kindergarten until post-tertiary education. And I was in the group of one of the working groups on flexible education and lifelong learning. And the good news for fellow Malaysian here, lifelong learning is one of the main agenda already approved under RMK 13 Malaysian Plan. And another good news is micro-credential is one of the initiatives that the government is going to support under 13 Malaysian Plan. And another good news is, hopefully, I'm not sure this year or maybe it will happen certainly next year, everyone, every Malaysian will get something called learning voucher so that they can use this learning voucher to take any courses, including micro-credential. So the thing is this, Malaysia is going to support our people to learn because we want to be a learning nation, so-called, so to speak. So, and we subsidize our people to take courses and so on. But where do they find all these courses? So this is where micro-credential provides great opportunity for all of us, not only institution, not only higher education, not only training, private training providers, but everyone, including every one of us here, can start creating content. So today, yesterday actually, if you remember, the word trust has been mentioned several times. Less today, but yesterday, yeah, we talked about trust. So basically, today in this short session, I'm going to talk about trust, because without trust, micro-credential cannot happen. And how do we, when I say we, mainly MQA, Malaysian Qualification Agency, which is a trusted agency. So how does MQA build in trust into the system? So this is what I'm going to talk about. Probably I will sound more like MQA, but I'm not representing MQA. I'm just representing myself today. But I'm involved a lot with MQA, including as a writer for the GGP, Guideline for Good Practices for Micro-Credential. So we have two GGP which you can download from the website, GGP on Micro-Credential. So if you just Google GGP Micro-Credential Malaysia, you will get the link to download the full document. Right. So these are the things that I'm going to touch on. I will start, throughout my presentation, I will share the story of Aisha. So I will use Aisha to illustrate the concept of micro-credential and why we need micro-credential as a way to provide flexible education for those who really need this kind of education. I'm not going to dwell much on what is micro-credential, but I'm going to touch on more on the stackable credential. Because I think if micro-credential is to be useful, we have to design it as a stackable micro-credential that lead to a meaningful qualification. And I'm going to skip about market demand and so on, because over these 2 days, I think we are convinced that there is a demand there for micro-credential. But I will dwell more on the trust, Malaysia's trust-based ecosystem. And this is where MQA comes in. And I think with the system and with the instrument and the framework that MQA has provided for us, everyone should leverage and take this opportunity. Oh, I think this is the older version. I think I provided the new version. I actually prepared this presentation for 45 minutes. Until yesterday, I realized it's actually for 30 minutes. But it's still the old version, but never mind. I will skip some slides. By the way, I will provide the link at the end so that you can download the full version of the presentation. So this is a story about Aisha. She is a very experienced marketing manager, 45-year-old, very competent, very confident. She's in marketing. She's in creative marketing, so she's a marketing manager. But looking at how technology and AI is progressing, she starts to feel a bit concerned and worried that maybe she will soon, in marketing area, will become irrelevant. Because why? Because of traditional marketing, and now with AI and analytics, data analytics, and so on, maybe the way marketing is done nowadays is different from the traditional marketing. So the issue here, how does she upskill herself so that she can stay relevant? And she's a busy marketing manager. There's no way she can leave her job and take courses outside, leave the workplace and attend a course. And if she wants to, let's say, take a traditional education, maybe this is where the problem is because a full-time kind of master's or diploma program would take a longer time. So as you can see here on the left, it represents the old way of doing marketing. And on the right-hand side, where we now have access to AI and the power of data analytics and so on, marketing is another it is different way of compared to how the traditional marketing is done. So those working in the marketing, if they don't upskill, they will soon be irrelevant or be replaced with someone who knows how to use AI and so on. So now the question is, how does Aisha upskill herself? Where does she find courses and so on that allows her to still work full time and at the same time can take courses and upskill herself? That's the issue. And when we talk about micro-credential, I mentioned about flexibility. That's the key word, flexible. Flexible learning, flexible time, more affordable, and learning on demand, LOD, learning on demand, just in case, just in time, just enough, just for me, make it very personalized. So if you see the traditional education, let's say she wants to take a master's degree, but as we know, master's degree will take 2 or 3 years to complete, and she cannot afford to leave her job. And at the same time, she's very keen to upskill herself. So what's the option here? So the option is perhaps we have something like micro-credential, which is designed for Aisha's and those working people that's busy but always want to upskill herself. So when we talk about Aisha, actually there are many people out there like Aisha. They are busy people, working people, but they want to upskill themselves. So they are looking for options that allow them to study and work at the same time. And finally, they will get not only upskill themselves, but better if they can get a formal qualification at the same time. So what's the solution? The solution is, this is where micro-credential comes in. It's a modular. It is very flexible. It is probably more affordable because it is a smaller size. Instead of I have to pay for 2 years master's degree, a few thousand ringgit, but now I can take a modular courses, which is mapped to the accredited academic program. Then I can take in my own time, my own pace, and it is, if the micro-credential is designed properly as a stackable credential, that can lead to a formal qualification at the end. So that's why I strongly believe, if you ask me, what's the future of micro-credential? The future of micro-credential will be in the design of the micro-credential itself. And I believe it should be designed as a stackable credential that would lead to a certain formal qualification. It can be diploma, it can be degree, even master's. And MQA has designed this kind of framework that enable this to happen. Okay, we will see some of this. And this is one example of a simple, very simplified example of how we can design a micro-credential in marketing, for example, in digital marketing. So we have a 3 stack of micro-credential on the left-hand side, AI in business, digital marketing, data analytics, and inside that stack, probably there will be several modules. So now, one type of learner probably will be interested to take all this stack with all the modules within the stack, and then finally bundle them together, stack them together to get the final qualification, in this case, advanced diploma in digital strategy. So that's why we call it stackable bundle. And it's very focused on, in this case, digital marketing and stackable. But maybe we have another type of learner. This learner is not interested to get the full advanced diploma in digital strategy. Maybe she's just interested to take digital marketing with 3 modules inside. And the third type of learner, not even interested to take the full stack, AI in business, digital marketing, or data analytics. Maybe that person only interested to take 1 or 2 modules within that particular stack. So we can cater for 3 different types of learner. That's the beauty to me, the beauty of micro-credential, and how we can design it for different target groups and audience, for different needs as well. So for Aisha, the answer and the solution for her is to go for this stackable credential. So modular learning works because life demands flexibility. Learn one skill at a time, apply it immediately at work, stack credential towards larger qualification, balance learning with existing responsibilities. So we have the best of kind of both worlds. I can work full time at the same time, learning doesn't stop. So the concept of lifelong learning and make it flexible all come together. Flexible learning, lifelong learning through flexible pathway, micro-credential, incremental progress integrated with life. Everyone now can learn. Everyone now can afford to learn. And everyone, even without, if someone, let's say, for some reasons, not able to go to the university at the early stage of their life, many people like that, so they go to work. But they still have intention and motivation to get the full qualification. No problem now. Last time we have ODL, Open Distance Learning, which is quite flexible, but still not that flexible. But now we have micro-credential and ODL together. Can you see? If we combine them together, it's become now very, very flexible. So for Aisha, this is the breakthrough for her. She can do flexible learning, which changed everything. And this is what she says. I earn credential while working full-time. Each one solve an immediate problem. Each module or each step that she take solve immediate problem that she faced and she can apply immediately in her job. Within 8 months, I was leading my company's digital transformation, not fearing it. Okay. So micro-credential is not just a course. I think this has been mentioned a few times yesterday and today. It's a verifiable credential. That's the definition. And in Malaysia, MQA actually encourage all the micro-credential developers or providers design it for so-called non-traditional students. Who are non-traditional students? These are working adults, working people who are busy, but they still want to get some form of qualification and upskilling. So industry aligned, agile, and stackable. And some myth about micro-credential. It's just an online video course. If you have taken some courses from Udemy, it's just video-based. But it's still not bad. Actually, I've taken a few courses. A true story, actually. I wanted to learn about stock trading. I took 5 courses on Udemy. After 3 months, I opened an account, CDS account for doing stock trading, and I managed to do 2 trading successfully. Then after that, I stopped. Just to prove a point, I can learn through online. That's Udemy, just video-based courses. But micro-credential is more than that. So that's some definition. I want to skip on this one. I hope I've convinced you the way forward. If you want to design a micro-credential, it has to be very strategic, and it has to be designed to be a stackable credential, not just one standalone micro-credential, but it is part of the bigger qualification. So Aisha need not worry anymore. She can take all these stackable credential. Each of the stack in different colors there actually solve her real problem in her workplace, in her job. But if she decided to take, let's say, master's degree in digital marketing, she has to spend 2 years, and there is no guarantee that whatever that she learned in master's degree can be directly applicable in her job. That's why if we have read some articles, the headline is Google, IBM, and the Big Four, the accounting firm, they said they don't need degree holders anymore. Okay, there are a few articles on that. Now, okay, I just want to skip directly to, this is an old version. Okay, now, let's talk about how do we build trust in the system. So we need to design an ecosystem that has trust embedded in it. So when I take a micro-credential from any providers, from any platform, I know that this micro-credential has some minimum quality and can serve my purpose, and it is credible, and it will be recognized by the employers, by industry. Okay? So to scale trust, it's not just not to build trust, but how to scale it up. Okay? To scale trust, we need standardized governance, policy, and recognition. I remember in the session panel 1 yesterday, the question is, what if we don't have policy to govern micro-credential? And, our friends say about quality. If there is no policy, then it will affect the quality because we don't know whether this micro-credential has minimum quality or not. There's no way to tell. But with policy also, we can design the system with trust and to build in the trust in the system. So this is the Malaysia's ecosystem, the so-called 4 pillars. Governance, so this is where MQA, Malaysian Qualification Agency, comes in. Anything accredited, recognized, endorsed, approved by MQA, rest assured, it has gone through a rigorous process of quality assurance. So that is the gold standard, MQA. Then we have the policy, and we talk about how do we recognize prior learning. And I feel proud on behalf of MQA because they actually well ahead and quite advanced compared to many countries, I would say. We have APEL, accredited prior experiential learning. And we have not only one APEL, we have, I think, 5 now. We have APEL A for admission, APEL C for credit transfer, APEL Q for full qualification, recognizing the experience, and we can award a full degree for the person. And the latest one is we have APEL N, which is to recognize those who take micro-credential modules and courses, and they can actually get 50% credit transfer through to get to the full qualification diploma or a degree. So APEL-M, actually you can Google APEL-M, MQA, you can get a lot of information about that. So these are the kind of the policy that enable, the instrument that enable to support the micro-credential, and enablers financial support from, for example, HRD Corp, HRDC, we have our friend here from HRDC there, then content. So these are the 4 pillars of micro-credential. And this is the whole kind of the big picture here to show what MQA has done in terms of building trust into the system. So we have here 2020 MQA guidelines on unbundling the accredited academic course into micro-credential. I was also involved here as one of the writers. Then, this one is MQA guide here. And the other one, the latest one is GGP for standalone micro-credential. Basically, this is to design a standalone micro-credential independent of any academic program. And then we have the most recent one, QVC, Quality Verification Center. I would call this QVC as a mini MQA. So MQA actually take a very smart approach. They decentralize the task to this QVC, which currently we have 5 among the universities, to do the verification of micro-credential to ensure the minimum quality on behalf of MQA. We have not rolled out yet because they are still doing, we're still in the process of training the QVC, the micro-credential providers and so on. And I'll be one of the trainers as well. But I think probably in the third or the fourth quarter this year, the QVC probably would be fully operational. And in Malaysia, we have two types of micro-credential. One is the micro-credential unbundled from the academic accredited program. And the other one is so-called standalone micro-credential, SAMC. And we have guidelines from MQA for both of these, which you can download from the MQA website. And the critical element in this is something what called trust. So we build trust purposely, deliberately into the system. Because we believe that without verification, a badge is just a sticker. There's no credibility in it. There's no proper recognition, proper rigorous process to ensure minimum quality that would benefit the user, the people who take the micro-credential. So trust is the product we are designing. We embed trust by design, not by chance. So for this system to work, for employers, the currency must be trusted. Do you trust dollar? Of course, everyone trusts dollar. Because dollar, I mean US dollar, is supposed to be reliable currency. Supposed to be. Okay, I leave it at that only. Okay, so the anchor of trust is MQA, the Malaysian Qualification Agency. They are not just a regulator. They are also an enabler and facilitator. Well, in Malaysia, MQA used to be looked at as, regulator, sometimes as, I don't want to say the word, but now MQA is trying to change the image. They want to be an enabler and facilitator. Yeah, I sound like MQA now. So the function is to ensure every micro-credential meets national standard. Without MQA, the ecosystem is just noise. With MQA, it is currency. Currency that people trust. Micro-credential that people trust. Okay. So the role of MQA here is to set standard that protect learner investment, because mostly micro-credential you have to pay. So people want to get a value for money. They want to get a value for their investment. So MQA defined the micro-credential standard, basically the learning outcome and so on. So we have training program to ensure all the micro-credential developers and providers understand this clearly. Then, to ensure this quality is guaranteed, so MQA appointed 5 so-called verification center, quality verification center, QVC. Currently, we have 5, including USN. Okay, and so Malaysia designed trust at scale, not just more courses. The reason why MQA take this approach, because we see the possibility that everyone now want to create micro-credential. Universities provide private training providers. So we anticipate the market will be flooded with micro-credential. We foresee that there's a potential that the system will be abused. We foresee the potential that something called credential inflation, because just like European system, we have ECTS, right? So let's say we have, for standalone micro-credential, the minimum size of the module of the micro-credential is 1 credit, which is equivalent to 40 notional hours. Okay, so can we imagine now, with everyone doing micro-credential, we will have thousands and thousands of, already we have 28,000 registered in MQA. So it's going to be like a few 100,000. So if quality is not assured by some mechanism and instrument, then we will have a possibility of, micro-credential that we don't know the origin, we don't know how is their quality, and the credibility will be affected and compromised. Okay, so the secret weapon that we have, I think I will have probably a few more minutes, right? Yeah, okay, just a few more slides. But I just want to say about this, something that we are very proud of. which is APEL, Accreditation of Prior Experiential Learning. And this is the main instrument that we used to ensure that all the micro-credential will be designed in such a way that when it requires credit transfer and so on, it can be done seamlessly without much ambiguity. And APEL actually served to bridge the so-called the formal education, which is mainly university and so on, and the non-formal education. So on the left-hand side, basically we talk about the traditional, non-traditional learners, working people and so on. On the right-hand side is the formal learners, formal education setting. But we know very well there are a lot of people on this side that still wants to learn, upskill, and get the full formal qualification. So how do we make it happen? So this is where the bridge in terms of APEL A, APEL C, APEL M, and so on. This to me is a very beautiful system that would provide and realize the spirit of flexible education, flexible learning, and lifelong learning. This is just another slide to show how we bridge the APEL bridge between work experience and micro-credential, standalone micro-credential, and the formal degree. On this side, we have APEL C for credit transfer. On that side, we have APEL M to recognize those who have taken micro-credential and they want to get a credit transfer up to maximum 50%. So this is a quality verification center that we have now, basically decentralizing the tasks and help MQA to do this effectively and efficiently, because we anticipate, MQA anticipate there will be thousands of micro-credential module and courses. They don't have the capacity to do the quality verification. So now this QBC, on the slide there's 4. The latest one is actually UTM, if I'm not mistaken. It's not in the slide yet, but USM is there. Congratulations, USM. This is a great opportunity for us to be part of micro-credential agenda of in Malaysia. This is the whole kind of ecosystem, how MQA design trust at scale. On this side, basically you see the providers, those this including universities and private training providers, they are the one who will create all the micro-credential, okay? And then in the center there is the learner. So we put learner in the center. Then the drivers here, this is the policy. So we have the national policy and the industry demand. We have talent corp there, HRD corp. And then all the micro-credential will go through the quality verification center, the QVC, and then finally MQA will approve, and the course will go into the MQF registry. So that's the definition and portability that we provide into the system that would allow all these micro-credentials to be stacked, bundled into the full qualification. And this is the report, just a summary of the report from Coursera. Yeah, with this properly designed micro-credential system where we build trust into that system, these are the real outcomes. Those who have taken all this micro-credential thing and so on, added value to their basic, qualification, upskill their skill, and they become more valuable. So they get 28% salary increase, 21% promotion, and so on. So that's the evidence. And finally, I think Malaysia, through MQA and through the Ministry of Higher Education, these are the, I think, the great supporters that create an ecosystem that support lifelong learning, and also SDG 4, which is about quality education and inclusive education. So we have that 3 pillars that support this ecosystem: trust, MQA standard, QVC verification, quality assurance, flexibility, modular design, APEL pathwork, pathways, work-life integration, and scale, decentralized delivery, national registry, and so on. So if we remove trust, learners waste money on worthless certificates. If we remove flexibility, working adults cannot participate. If we remove skill, only the elite privilege can get access to education because they are the one who want to pay. And all this now provide the ecosystem that we need now, that Malaysia needs now, to allow micro-credential and flexible learning and lifelong learning to flourish. Okay, so that's all from me, and a future built on trust, skill, and continuous growth. And I foresee the future, I envision the future now where UNESCO, many years ago, they advocate and champion education for all. Then it evolved into SDG 4. And now, if Malaysia and every one of us want to be part of this, this is a time that with technology, with AI, everyone can create content easily. We can create video on the fly. So why not? I urge and call everyone here, join me to be one of the content creators, start creating micro-credential, design it properly, and make it as one of the bigger or broader learning pathway towards full qualification. And with that, thank you very much. And this is the QR code if you wish to download the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Abdul Karim Alias, for that insightful and thought-provoking keynote. We truly appreciate your valuable perspective and sharing with us today. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes Keynote 5. We will now continue with panel session 2, titled Sustainability and Digital Transformations. Please stay with us as we move on the next session. Thank you.
Can I be heard? Can I be seen? Because I'm short. Okay. Good. No, it's okay. It's okay. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues, partners, and friends. Welcome to panel session 2, titled Sustainability and Digital Transformation. I am Marita Castro Guevara, but everyone calls me Marichi, and I hope you do too. I am an associate professor of the Department of Interdisciplinary Studies of the Ateneo de Manila University, where I am also a research associate of the Institute of Philippine Culture, the IPC. It was under the aegis of IPC that the Ateneo de Manila University got involved in the Philippine project team of the MICROCASA Consortium, and I'm a member of the Philippine project team. So yesterday in panel 1, which our good friend Manuela facilitated expertly, we examined the regional policy and governance frameworks necessary for micro-credentials. In today's panel session 2, we advance the discussion from the what to the how. We are moving from policies and frameworks to implementation, sustainability, and system-level transformation. In this panel, we are guided by the following themes. These are our marching orders from Dr. Radziah. We're supposed to discuss these 4 themes. First, sustainability beyond project cycles. Specifically, how can micro-credentials be embedded institutionally and systematically, including the governance, financing, and capacity-building considerations of micro-credentials? Second theme, digital transformation and higher education. Here we ask, what is the role of digital platforms and ecosystems in scaling micro-credentials while maintaining quality and inclusivity? Third theme, micro-credentials as catalysts for labor upskilling and employability. In particular, we ask, how can micro-credentials be aligned with workforce needs and skills development strategies? And fourth theme, institutional empowerment and regional cooperation. Here we ask, how can higher education institutions and regional programs collaborate to ensure long-term impact? Maybe what distinguishes this panel from what we have heard from our keynote speakers is that we will be drawing from not only the expertise, but the lived experiences of our 4 panelists. They will be presenting their stories, case studies of their involvements in micro-credential promotion in their respective countries. So much of our discussion this afternoon is grounded on the work of the Philippine partners of the MICROCASA project, namely the University of the Philippines System, specifically the Office of the Vice President for Digital Transformation. We have here the Vice President of the of UP for Digital Transformation, and UP Open University. We have the Chancellor of UP Open University, and the Ateneo de Manila University through its Institute of Philippine Culture, represented by one of its research scientists. The insights and experiences of the MICROCASA Philippine partners will be complemented wonderfully by the insights from another project under the program EU ASEAN Sustainable Package Implementation Program for Higher Education, or SCOPE HE, herein represented by Dr. Narimah Samat. So for our discussion this afternoon, as I said, we are joined by 4 distinguished academics from the Philippines and Malaysia. It is my honor to introduce them one by one. So to my left, we have our first panelist, Dr. Narimah Samat. We've met her yesterday. Professor and Dr. Narimah Samat, who welcomed all of us yesterday morning during the opening ceremony, is Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International at University Sains, Malaysia, USM, since April 2021. She's a Professor of Geographic Information Systems, GIS, at the School of Humanities of USM, specializing in urban spatial modeling, land use change, and sustainable urban development. Between 2022 and 2024, Dr. Narimah served as the president of ASEAN European Academic University Network, or ASEA UNINET, which is a network of universities consisting of European and Southeast Asian universities with the goal of promoting the continuous internationalization of education and research with extensive experience in academic leadership and international collaboration. She has contributed significantly to advancing research, academic and global partnerships in higher education. Dr. Narimah is currently a project leader for USM of EU ASEAN Sustainable Package Implementation Program for Higher Education, or SCOPE HE, titled DigiHas, Digital Transformation for Natural Hazards. DigiTAS is a collaborative research funded by the European Union, managed by DAAD and NUFFIC. The team comprises experts from the University of Alicante, Spain, the University West Attica, Greece, the University of the Cordilleras and Xavier University in the Philippines, and the University Utara, Malaysia, and University Saints, Malaysia. At this panel session, Dr. Narimah, we will ask you, without any slide deck, presentation slide deck, we will be asking you, Dr. Narimah, to share with us how initiatives at digital transformation, including microcredentials, can be harnessed to mitigate natural hazards. Next, our second panelist is Professor Peter A.C. Professor Peter C. serves as Vice President for Digital Transformation of the University of the Philippines System. He is also an Associate Professor of Philosophy at its Diliman campus. As Vice President for Digital Transformation of the UP System and as the UP Project Leader of the MICROCASA project, VP and Prof. Peter leads initiatives that advance microcredential frameworks and flexible learning pathways across the UP system. His work focuses on developing secure, interoperable, and quality-assured microcredential ecosystems that support lifelong learning, workforce agility, and educational accessibility while maintaining institutional standards. So these are buzzwords we've been hearing since yesterday. Workforce agility, lifelong learning, accessibility. These are concerns of professors every day at work. Through MICROCASA and related system-wide initiatives, VPC helps institutions design and implement microcredentials that respond to evolving educational and employment needs. In a few minutes, VP Peter, we will be requesting you to share with us the Philippines' attempt to build a national consortium for microcredentials, as part of the digital transformation of Philippine higher education institutions, or HEIs. Our third panelist is Dr. Joane V. Serrano. Dr. Joane V. Serrano is the Chancellor of the UP, University of the Philippines Open University, or UPOU, which is a pioneer in and is at the forefront of teaching and learning in the digital age in the Philippines. She's also Professor of Environmental and Sustainability Communication. In that capacity, Chancellor Joane's work focuses on sustainability, environmental and development communication, indigenous knowledge systems, experiential learning, and open distance e-learning, or ODEL. She has been a key advocate for leveraging online and flexible learning modalities to expand access to quality higher education, particularly for learners and communities traditionally underserved by conventional campus-based system. This afternoon, we will ask Chancy Joane, as we call her affectionately, Chancy Joane, to share examples of how the UPOU serves learners and communities who have been disenfranchised by traditional learning systems. Dr. Joane has played a key role in the development of UPOU's Doctor in Sustainability program and currently serves as Editor-in-Chief of the Journal of Management and Development Studies. She also co-founded and chairs the Philippine Network for Satoyama Initiatives and Sustainability Studies, or the PNSISS, which promotes community-based sustainability practices. Deeply committed to public service, she leads projects that integrate education, heritage conservation, and environmental stewardship. As Chancellor, Dr. Serrano envisions UPOU as a transformative university of the future, one that harnesses open and distance e-learning to be sustainable, resilient, inclusive, and grounded in people-centered leadership. Our fourth panelist is Dr. Dennis B. Batangan. Dr. Batangan is a distinguished faculty member and research scientist at the Ateneo de Manila University. He holds positions within the university's School of Social Sciences, School of Government, and Institute of Philippine Culture. Last year, he received the 2025 Dr. Lourdes Campos Award in Public Health from the Philippine Association for the Advancement of Science and Technology, or PhilAS, with degrees in psychology and medicine from the University of the Philippines. He furthered his studies with an alternative residency program in community medicine and a postgraduate course in community health for developing countries at the University of Heidelberg in Germany. Dr. Batangan's career is marked by transformative contributions to community and public health. He co-founded the Community Medicine Development Foundation, Incorporated or COMED, pioneering social innovations. His dedication earned him several community health service awards, including recognition from the University of the Philippines, Manila, Nueva Ecija Medical Society, Kabalikat Cooperative, University of the Philippines Alumni Association, the Medical Action Group, and the Department of Science and Technology. In 2021, he received the DOST's Technicom Gawad or Award for outstanding contribution to inventions for the health sciences. Moreover, his research on electronic health information systems of local government units or LGUs and many other studies besides have received prestigious nominations and medal for their impact. Soon we shall be listening to Dr. Dennis as he shares 3 cases or examples of how micro-credentials have been applied or can be applied to health sciences in the Philippines. Okay, so given the outstanding credentials of our panelists, it took me a while to introduce them. Let us now officially start the panel session 2 with questions I will direct to each of our 4 resource persons. There will be no slide presentations. This will be, I was told that this will be like a talk show format. I will be engaging our panelists. I will be asking them specific questions. And then later on, we'll have an open forum where I will be vetting questions from the floor. So we now proceed to the question and answers addressed to the individual panelists. Let's start with you, Dr. Narimah Samat. So based on your involvement and leadership in the DigiHas project, can you kindly share your experiences and insights on harnessing initiatives in digital transformation, including applying micro-credentials to mitigate natural hazards?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind introduction. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, to start, I think for Scope HE or EU ASEAN Sustainability Connectivity Package for Higher Education Program, the call was open and then they have 3 themes, which include green transition, blue economy, and also digital transformation. Our team managed to secure the projects on digital transformation, where we focus on hazard management, digital transformation for natural hazard. Actually, the projects built based on our previous Erasmus Plus projects, where we successfully completed it in 2024 on geometric for disaster risk reduction. For that project, for Erasmus Plus projects, it have 9 institutions from Europe, 3 from Europe, and 6 from Southeast Asia. So based on the trust, based on the network that we developed during Erasmus Plus, the result from the outcome from Erasmus Plus is each of the members country has to produce, university has to produce a master degree program. For USM, we successfully launched Master of Science in Geometric for Disaster Risk Reduction. And fortunately, our first student already graduated in 2025. And then when we got this project, Scope HE on digital transformation for higher education, we improve on the capacity that we have, and that we the partners university, each of us has to produce a PhD program. And we obtained the grant last year. It started January last year, but the funding actually we received, and the result actually we received in May. We successfully launched a PhD program in digital transformation for disaster management. So at USM, we already have that listed under application. So having said that, I think if you look at back the aims of the Scope HE is basically more on capacity building, research, and fostering technology collaboration among partners country, and also leveraging on partnership to create new focus area, particularly on the themes advertised. For example, in this case, for my project, our project is focusing on digital transformation. We are looking at managing or using digital technology, particularly geospatial technology, which is geography information system, remote sensing, big data, IoT, satellite images, and things like that, to focus on managing natural hazard. We look at preparedness, mitigation, and also mitigation among the society. So the things with this project is that we provide the courses, training courses for not only the student but also young researcher to focus on building up the skill sets in terms of managing hazard. For our in our project, although we didn't have micro credential as the final the way of delivering program, but we using digital platform to develop courses and also to share the training among the partners. So particularly, we look at Southeast Asian country, flood, landslide, heat wave, those are all the natural hazards that have been quite common among the partners country. By the way, the partners country are Malaysia. In the Southeast Asia, we have Malaysia and Philippines. So typhoon, everything. So we use this digital transformation or the digital technology to develop talents in terms of how to manage this disaster, particularly early warning and preparedness. So do I stop? I think
Continue, please continue.
I think that's something that is we hope, and then the training, the project just started. We have the meeting in Penang in January. Yeah, in January we started in Penang, where we already developed courses to be offered, and then the trainers identify and things like that. So we will develop the modules that all the courses will be shared through modules, and then we will have a young researcher conference to share output of the research. So I think I stop there first, and then maybe later on if more question on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Narimah, for sharing with us the wonderful work that you've been doing under the DigiHas project. No, it's great to know, no, that what you're doing now under the DigiHas project has built upon a previous Erasmus Plus project. And although, as you said, now you have not been offering micro credentials yet, the operative word being yet. You have digital platforms, no? You use digital platforms extensively as you offer your master's degree programs and also your PhD program in disaster management, no? And I was glad to know that the Philippines is included in the DigiHas project, because we have many things, natural hazards you can study about and make recommendations for, no, to avert, no, like your early warning device systems, no. So thank you very much, Dr. Narimah. We'll turn now to Professor Peter C. So Professor VP Peter, no. So based on our, no, the Philippines' 3-year experience in implementing the MICROCASA project, can you please share key details about and insights gleaned from the Philippines' attempt to build a national consortium, no, for microcredentials, because you're at the helm of building a national consortium for microcredentials. And maybe in doing so, for the benefit, for my benefit and for the benefit of our listeners, can you also discuss, please, the Philippine Commission Higher Education Statute's Memorandum Order SEMO number 1, series of 2025, which establishes the national guidelines for the development, approval, and recognition of microcredentials in Philippine higher education. Okay.
I've been asked to tell the origin story of the national consortium for microcredentials in the Philippines, but I would say this is really not even a fully formed fetus just yet. So there's just there've been mating and there's implantation, but this could well be aborted. Hopefully not with the help of many well-meaning people in the Philippines. But we've been discussing the possibility of putting together a national consortium since we've been visiting Spain and Germany, Saarland, no? Among the film delegation, it's our opportunity to discuss, to consult each other, because otherwise we don't see each other in the Philippines hardly, except maybe Chancellor Joane. So we have had this idea of putting this together, and the idea is to have that kind of consortium as a kind of clearinghouse of micro courses, micro credentials for quality assurance, and a body that sets standards for the country. It's a collegial body, and we bumped into questions of its potential funding sources, because we want independence, but at the same time we want government money. So just give us the money and then leave us alone. But that is a hard proposition to sell, as you know, because otherwise private funding, there's not much maybe willingness to invest in that kind of platform. But I consider myself as a foot soldier, so you don't want to go out there and say this is your vision. So you really would want this to be seen as part of, in our case, administration agenda, which is really digital transformation. And of course, open learning is one of the flagship programs of our president. In any case, you've met them. For those of us who rather visited the Philippines, you have how passionate he is about lifelong learning. And so it came to pass, the origin story part now, that the secretary of TESDA, which is the Technical Education and Skills Development, that is the body in charge of the non-formal technical learning in the Philippines. The secretary came over to the university, and they were friends. They are friends with our president, and so we kind of steered the discussion towards micro credentials and the need for having a national consortium. And the next thing followed, one after the other, and the need for to issue a technical working group. That's how we roll in the university. There has to be a memo. Otherwise, it's not official. It's just imagine in your imagination. So there was a memo directing us to put together the technical working group, and so we gathered the coalition of the willing, including, of course, TESDA and the commission and some representatives, some universities, of course, under the leadership of Chancellor Joane for the UP part. I'm a background guy, so have them discuss, and they decided, as I gathered, that they want to put this thing together. So that's basically what the origin story of the national consortium in the Philippines. As I said, this is not yet a fully formed fetus. I hope this will not be aborted. But there is a good, runway, and there's a good path that we can really pursue this. And maybe providential that we're putting this together now because of the laws, the recent laws that were passed on lifelong learning and CHED memorandum, the formation of micro credentials. So converging towards this kind of groupings, because otherwise the country is characterized by balkanization of all sorts of initiatives or micro credentials. The private education group, for instance, MAPO Institute, you probably have Googled them. They're doing aggressively. There's also other trade groups. I'm familiar with one on that Trust Foundation of the Philippines that is really catering to banks, to the financial sector, where they have these courses and they look like micro credentials to me, but they're not yet really called micro credentials. And so all this coming together, and they have different ways of doing micro credentials. The hours, the usual discussion about 100 hours, 50 50 student learning time, contact period, all these things together hopefully will be settled when we have this platform. But we have this national consortium. But as I said, the funding is a challenge just yet. I think we have a good room for advancing this. In the meantime, the University of the Philippines is serving as secretariat, offering our services for free. And not so hidden agenda is to put these things together and hoping that the buy-in would make the there's already buy-in, but it's different when the boss just says yes, and it's really included in the General Appropriations Act, in the national budget, where there is really a law that says you put money for micro credentials. Right now, there's not a budget just yet specifically for micro credential national consortium at that. No, so that's the journey we're starting. Hopefully, we'll succeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Peter. He's very modest. He says he's a foot soldier. He works in the background, but actually he's at the helm of all these initiatives to put together a national consortium for micro-credentials. And you can just imagine how difficult this endeavor is. No, a lot of you try to bring in a lot of stakeholders, a lot of consultations, and of course, Peter is ably, superbly backed up by UP staff, staff from the UP. So thank you to them. And you said that this initiative is at its fetal stage, maybe infancy or toddler stage, because we've already hurdled. We have some gains already. We've been emphasizing since yesterday the importance of policy and legal frameworks, and in the last year, since late in 2025, we already have a commission on higher education memorandum, which establishes the national guidelines. Here we already have got national guidelines for the development, approval, and recognition of micro credentials in higher education. And then just last October 2025, the Philippine Congress passed Republic Act 12313, which is an act institutionalizing the lifelong learning development framework, broadening the mandate of the Philippine Qualifications Framework. So there have been games, and through the leadership of Vice President C, we will see this toddler growing to a full adult stage. Thank you. So thank you, VP Peter. We'll now turn to Chancellor Joane Serrano. So, Chancellor Chancey Joane, so based on our 3-year experience in implementing the MICROCASA project, how can micro-credentials enabled by digital transformation become an important pathway towards inclusive and sustainable learning? So, please share with us the work that the UPOU has done for and with disenfranchised individuals and communities in order to level the educational field in the Philippines. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marichi. So the UP Open University has really been advocating for lifelong learning, and we're just really happy that the Lifelong Learning Development Framework Act was finally
October
enacted
2025.
last year. Although there's no IRR yet, but we are indeed very happy that it was finally became a law. There's a very particular section there that talks about micro-credentials. So at UPOU, we have really been an advocate for inclusive learning. So we have been reaching out to communities that cannot be reached by any of the UP campuses. So the University of the Philippines, just for everyone's information, is composed of 9 autonomous campuses. And we are the campus that is mandated to reach out to the communities that cannot be reached by these campuses. So by that mandate, we really make it our mission and vision to find ways to develop programs that are flexible and accessible and very inclusive. So, for example, in this particular project, we're able to, through the works of the UP Open University, and I would like to acknowledge my colleagues here who have been working really hard to develop. First, we develop a framework for micro-credentials. And I just wanted to say that the framework, the roadmap and framework that the University of the Philippines Open University developed was actually made as a reference by the Commission on Higher Education when they developed the CMO just last year. So if you will look at our roadmap and their CMO, it's very similar, but we made our roadmap 3 years ahead of the CMO. But of course, they acknowledge the work that the UPOU has made. So with this project, we're able to develop the micro-credentials on the WCT. So digital workplace competency micro-credentials. So it really reaches out to the different workforce in different sectors in the Philippines, government employees who do not have digital competency. I think Doc Dennis even made use of this particular course in his Doctors to the Barrio. And we even have the entire UP system staff, admin staff, through the initiative of VP Peter, go through the particular micro-credentials. And it would have not been possible for these employees to go through that kind of capacity building without that kind of course. So just an example within the project. But beyond the project, the UPOU has really been advocating for courses that would like to reach out to as many Filipinos as possible. For example, we have, through the initiative of our current UP president, we have a project called VINTA. It's a Ventures International for Transformative Academia, wherein we reach out to we're trying to reach out to around 10 million overseas Filipino workers around the globe. Just for the information for everyone here, whenever you go to a country, there will definitely be a Filipino there. In Germany, in Spain, and these are overseas Filipino workers working as professionals or in different sectors. And what we're trying to do is we have been developing micro-credential courses in order for these OFWs to upskill and reskill, and for them to be able to, get a better or high-paying jobs. So this is part of what we have been doing as part of our micro-credential initiatives. And aside from that, we have also been reaching out to the persons deprived of liberty. Just last year in December, we're able to graduate around 70 PDLs through micro-credentials. And this year, we will be offering micro-credential courses to indigenous peoples in Bukidnon on the southern part of the Philippines. And we are actually co-developing the courses with them because we know how sensitive indigenous peoples are in terms of their culture. So the micro-credentials that we will be doing will be co-developed with them. So these are just some of the examples that the university has been doing to reach out to as many Filipinos as possible, especially to communities that are very difficult to reach. So in the next few years of my term as a chancellor, we will be really reaching out. So maybe my colleagues are having a headache already. We'll really be reaching out to these communities that cannot be reached, but they can only be reached through micro-credentials. And I think the work of digital transformation is very important because we cannot offer these micro-credentials without internet connectivity, access to digital devices, as well as centers where, these communities will be able to access these courses. So I think I'll stop there for now, Marichi. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Joane. No? First of all, in the role, the pivotal role of the UPOU in developing a roadmap, which became the foundation for the SEMO guidelines for micro-credentials in the Philippines. No? But beyond that, thank you, and we're very grateful for, as you said, you've been trying to reach communities that cannot be reached any other way except through micro-credentials. Like your digital workplace competency training program has reached over 10,000, has had over 11,000 enrollees, no? And then your VINTA program with OFWs, you're trying to reach 10 million overseas Filipino workers. That's 1/12 of the Philippine population. Wonderful if you can do that. And of course, your work with the persons deprived of liberty, PDLs, and indigenous peoples, and it's music to my ears that in developing courses for indigenous people, co-creating these courses with them in recognition of the need to be culturally sensitive. So thank you. And we now turn to Dr. Dennis Batangan. So, Doc Dennis, based on our 3-year experience in implementing the MICROCASA project, can you share your insights on the application of micro-credentials to the health sciences, where you are very much steeped in? So we would be grateful if you could share with us cases and examples, maybe 2 or 3, of ongoing or past or prospective micro-credentials which will show micro-credentials transformative or potential power in the health sciences.
Thank you very much, Marichi, and good afternoon, everyone. This section actually is like a reflection session, for us, in terms of being the final panel on the final day, on the final month of this MICROCASA project. So thank you for allowing this reflection panel to be hosted in USM Penang. In the Philippines, the implementation of the MICROCASA project was joint. It was joint between the two universities of the University of the Philippines System and the Ateneo de Manila University. What I would like to share are actually some reflections, or initiatives that have been implemented as part of the MICROCASA project. Well, first one, what the Chancellor Joane already partly mentioned is the embedding of the digital workplace competency training in one of our graduate education programs for the doctors to the barrios. In the Philippines, there is a program by the Ministry of Health to send doctors to doctorless municipalities, meaning these are municipalities that do not have doctors. So national government sends doctors to these municipalities. Part of the sort of agreement with these doctors is they will go through a training program while serving these doctorless municipalities. So the Ateneo de Manila University, through the Ateneo School of Government, is the one providing that graduate education program, degree program. It's a master's in public management, health governance track to these doctors to the barrios. In I think November, when we were offering the digital workplace competency training, I was teaching a group of around 20 doctors in the island of in the southern Philippines in Mindanao. And during the time that I was teaching them, I asked them to take the digital workplace competency training. So while they were taking the course, I was teaching actually ICT and health, no? Information Communication Technology and health. They were actually taking the digital workplace competency training. I sort of monitoring them and then responding to their questions. And it was actually a very good, a very innovative experience as far as I'm concerned. Probably we discuss the results of that later. The other initiative that these micro-credential or these courses have been pursued as far as the university is concerned is the adoption in a proposed syllabus for a master's in health promotion at the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health. So we included in the proposed syllabus, proposed course program, the micro-credential on non-communicable disease, which were presented earlier by Dr. Myra Oruga, as part of the elective courses for this particular program. The former Associate Dean of the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health, Dr. Ray Bakiran, is actually here with us, no, and probably have questions on that course. He can answer later. The other set of initiatives, no, that I'd like to mention with regards to the micro-credentials include the following. There is a current open governance partnership program in the Philippines. This is actually a partnership between the Philippine government and EU. And there is a component on health which actually proposed to include non-communicable disease. So it is actually an ongoing program. We have already proposed that part of the OGP, Open Governance Partnership, includes, again, the non-communicable disease micro-credential for its implementation. The other initiative that we hope that we are planning to have the micro-credential included is actually with the National Digital Health Steering Committee, for which Professor Peter C. and I are part of. And we propose to this steering committee, which actually looks into the capacity building of all health workers in the Philippines, to include our digital workplace competency training as one of the courses that can be offered to health workers in the Philippines and from the national to local government level. We hope we could pursue those within the year. No, these two initiatives. I'll probably stop with those initiatives, Dr. Marichi. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Batangan. And so, Dr. Batangan supported what Chancellor Joane mentioned earlier about the importance and utility of the DWCT Digital Workplace Competency Training Program, a micro-credential that was developed through the MICROCASA project support, no? So this WCT program has benefited health workers, no, with the inclusion of the DWCT program, no, in their curriculum as a possible curriculum, no, and then also in the curriculum of the Doctors to the Barrios program of the ASOG, no, Ateneo School of Government, no. And then maybe you can also share, Dr. Batangan, the initiative on the master program with the ASMPH, Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health. If you can say something about that.
Yeah. Actually, it's a master's in health promotion still actually being proposed to the university, but we decided as part of the technical working group to include in the program design a micro-credential starting off with the NCD for lifestyle-related diseases, no, a micro-credential on NCD specific on lifestyle-related diseases. That's still actually in progress in terms of the approval by the university, but what we hope to pursue is actually the embedding, no, for stackability, no, so that it can now be part of a higher education degree within an academic program.
Thank you. So thank you to our 4 distinguished resource persons who have shown a light on how digital transformative technologies, including microcredentials, can be applied in their respective disciplines or fields and areas of engagement, whether in attempting to mitigate natural hazards or in leveling the educational field for marginalized individuals and communities like persons deprived of liberty, indigenous peoples, or Filipino migrant workers, no, or in the health sciences education, such as upscaling the skills of health workers, including doctors to the barrios. No? So at this point, we would like to open the floor for questions, and then maybe later, if there's time, I will ask a question or two addressed to all the panelists. No? But for now, no, I'd like to invite you to raise your comments or questions, no, or any reactions, no, which you may direct to any of our 4 speakers. As you do so, can you please introduce yourself, your name and institutional affiliation? Okay.
No
Sige,
question.
Dr. Armin.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, I'm Armin Weinberger from Saarland University, Germany. I want to jump right to the very last question, because there are many questions, but the last question I would be having is, can you, and this is to all of you, and to some extent you've already answered it in relating to what is happening at your respective sites, sustainability. We're having this project, it lasts 3 years, then it's over, and we're hoping to have seeded something that can grow. And I wanted to very openly ask you, where do you see our like main hurdles, and where is hope for you, or from your perspective, to overcome these hurdles? What's your take on that?
Okay, very good. Very good question.
Can I take that question first? I think, thank you for the question. Anyway, I was like about to share what's our experience in USM as a Deputy Vice Chancellor. When I took over, we already have about more than 300 micro-credential courses being developed. Yeah, we are eager to, we have a group of young lecturers, and with Prof. Karim just left. When at that time he was a director for Center of Academic Development in USM. So at that time, when the technology came in, everyone is like eager to start. But in what I'm saying, everyone is that we have pockets of that, and then at that time we have when I took over, we have more than 300 micro-credentials standalone being developed, but we cannot do anything because it's being developed, no guideline, no policy at that time. Yeah. Then, in fact, we developed one curriculum, co-create with the industry. And this is for QSR brand. If you know, in Malaysia, QSR brand is the company that own Pizza Hut and KFC. So they run that franchise in Malaysia. So they aim to educate or to upskilling more than 10,000 of their staff in food industry to have bachelor degree. So they have like secondary education, they enter like food services, and then so we started. We got the approval in September 2021, where the program is Bachelor of Management and minor in food technology. So when we got that plan everything, we now backtrack on how to get the program up and running. Luckily, we now we already have the second intake joining this program. We have full-fledged degree in micro-credential. Okay, then we talk about, then came in MQA, came in all the policy and things like that. We're trying to adjusting because we are like ahead of MQA in that sense. So what we did was, last year, we were given the task to look at stackable degree. So the hurdle is not all people are into technology. While when we choose a program, academic programs, for example, we need a full team to come on board and work on micro-credentials. We developed a quality verification center, as mentioned by Prof. Karim just now. USM is one of the center being recognized to verify standalone micro-credential. So now we look at whatever micro-credential being developed and how to see whether the credit you need to be given to the course. And then we also have courses developed purposely for nurses for continuous development programs. So we have courses developed that. And then for our stackable degree, what we did was, we know the challenges. We call people in one place, and then we divided into team, and then we have experts to teach them to work on that. I think based on the experience when we developed Bachelor of Management, we managed to come up with more than, this is from existing program, and then based on the existing program, we unbundle the programs, and then we create into micro-credential, and then we become another degree. We are about to launch a Master in AI-driven management, Master in AI semiconductor. We already have an academic program of Master in, why we did a Master program? Because courses is the less number of courses as compared to undergraduate program. So because for undergraduate program, sometimes we have 120, 130 units. To turn everything into micro-credential will take longer. So what we did is existing courses for master program. We have coursework is about only 40 units. So we turn all into micro-credential. So and also we have a master in advanced packaging in semiconductors that is already being approved by MQA, by nursery. So we turn into micro-credential. So we end up having I think more than all the courses into micro-credential, where I think the challenges is that to maintain the spirit is there, but another thing is that we embed the creation of micro-credential as innovation for teaching and learning, where we count it as toward the promotion. So it's become an encouragement for our lecturers to participate and also working with micro-credential and develop more courses. I think that's the experience what you have done to encourage people to develop more courses and get accredited. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Narimah. So it's very clear that for the USM, the pathway is developing more programs, educational programs, and embedding micro-credentials as innovations for teaching and learning. Thank you. Would any or all of the Philippine panelists like to respond to Dr. Armin's question?
Sustainability, I think it all boils down to, lest I be accused of crass materialism, budget and organizational backing.
Yes.
We have a recent memo from the Civil Service Commission banning more hiring of contracts of service. That may be a blessing in disguise, because that will force us to look internally and probably free up resources so that they can be directed towards production of value-added activities such as micro-credentials and forming the organizational backbone for the country. Because given the enormity of the challenge of the Philippines. You probably seen Philippines in the news. So there's so much to do. It's something that is beyond UP, beyond the OU, beyond Ateneo, beyond the Filipinos in this room. It is something of a concerted effort, and my goodness, I can just imagine the logistical requirement, all the the energies that need to be devoted towards this, because it's as our president would say, this is a question of survival for us, because we used to do the back office industry, and now AI is taking that over. And what value added training do you offer to your countrymen, so that they don't have to, or even if they have to go to foreign places, foreign lands, they're not confined to menial jobs. They will really be able to remit that mighty dollar back home, so that we can spend in the malls. So all these things have to be looked at in terms of orchestration as an organization, like UP as an initiator of change. So digital transformation, I would say, and at the end of the day, is about doing this organizational innovation as well. Given the more constraints we're having now, how can we marshal internal resources and co-create with other equally constrained organizations to do more with less? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peter, Professor Peter. And so you emphasize the importance of funding, budget, organizational backing, and the impetus provided by policies, legal frameworks, laws, no, and of course the concerted effort, no. This indeed is a multi-stakeholder endeavor, no, that needs orchestration. And will you be the maestro for this, the conductor? Okay, thank you. Joane?
Yes, thank you, Armin. I think that's a very important and relevant question. The way you look at it as based on what we are experiencing right now, I think the biggest hurdle really is political instability on a national and on a university level. When I say political instability, the Philippines is quite a different kind of structure when it comes to education. Unlike the rest of the countries, you have one Ministry of Education. For the for the Philippines, we have Commission in Higher Education for the higher education. We have TESDA for the TechVoc. We have DepEd for the basic education. But there's a governing council, which they call a National Coordinating Council. All of them are involved, including the Civil Service and the PRC, Philippine Regulation Commission, and the Department of Labor and Employment. So we have no single body to look at, for example, micro-credentials. Each of these institutions they have their own policies. So for universities like us, we are under higher education, a Commission in Higher Education, although uniquely for UP, we have our own charter. So we have a different law where it's very unique. We're not under the Commission in Higher Education. It's like we're on the same level. We set the standards for higher education. That's why we work closely with CHED. And when I say it's hurdle, because as a different commission sits in, they start a different kind of program, starting all over again on micro-credentials. I'm saying this because I was able to work with 2 commissioners just a few months ago. I talked with them. We talk about me sitting on a technical panel to work on a lifelong learning, which is part of micro-credentials. Then that commissioner was removed or probably finished her term. Another commissioner stepped in. So there was the talk again. So there's the hurdle is that, how do we ensure that micro-credentials will really be put in place even without these people sitting there? It's good that there's laws, there's IRR, there's guidelines, but it still depends on the priority of the people sitting there. And it also goes for university level. It's good now that our president, he's into open and distance e-learning, including micro-credentials. And it's good now that I'm sitting as a chancellor and I'm into micro-credentials. So that's a good thing. But beyond me, even if there's policy put in place, if there's another person sitting there, they would have a different, priorities. So I mean, these hurdles, I think there's an answer to that, of course, really a systems way of looking at it. But at present, I think that's a major hurdle that I see, which I personally have experienced. I spent so much time talking to people in power and it's taking so much of your time. I mean, I could have spent my many months developing courses. I have this idea to develop so many courses to offer to those 10 million OFWs to reskill and upskill them, to have them for them to have higher paying jobs and as Peter said, sent to the Philippines as remittances. But that's just beyond the point. But what I'm trying to say is that I could have focused my energy into other things instead of focusing this energy to discussing this just because of certain political instability. So that's a biggest hurdle for me. Thank you, Marichi.
Thank you. So thank you for elaborating on the hindrance of political instability. No? And we're just so glad that you're there at the leadership of UPOU now. No? Thank you. Dr. Dennis Batangan.
Yeah, thank you for that timely question, Dr. Armin. Probably on a more positive note, actually, this MICROCASA project on micro-credentials help us appreciate as well what's happening in our neighboring countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, and of course the developments and of course perspective of our European partners. Because in the context of our own national developments, it is very helpful to see what works and what does not work, and what probably is the next phase. So that gives us a lot of insights and a lot of additional options in terms of how to move this at the national, even at the local or university level. But we all know, as has been said, no, that these are all very sensitive to political disruptions, because there are decisions to be made at the national level, as well as geopolitical disruptions, which we are seeing almost every day and affecting implementation at the national and regional levels. We are happy that at least for the European Union, it has been a continuous support for these types of projects with very thematic. We know that there are several micro-credential projects running in the ASEAN region or even globally over a period of time, and that's very helpful. For example, in the ASEAN region, we know that there's the Micro4 Asia that started last year, and 2 or 3 more micro-credential projects that are running in the region over the next 3 or 4 years. And I think that's helpful to sustain the momentum on micro-credentials and at these levels. I agree that when we say sustainability, it means resources, no, financial resources, the organizational backup, and of course the technical capacity. And those decisions, to a large extent, are beyond us as project holders. But we try as much to be able to influence those aspects, to be able to secure the necessary resources and organizational support to continue with the work. In the case of the Philippine partners, what we've tried to do to sort of strengthen that is that we entered into a memorandum of understanding with the UP Open University, because they have the more advanced technical capacity on micro-credentials, and the development of these courses was actually primarily through the UP Open Universities. I think that partnership across different universities, across different levels, would be helpful in the longer term. And I think with what has been said, no, from the Malaysian side to the Philippine side, there's so much happening on micro-credentials in terms of policy and initiatives on the ground from the different universities. But also, I think we should also be cautious, also a bit critical also in terms of the possible hype, possible hype only of micro-credentials in this period. We've seen the latest EU policies on AI, and of course the South Korean policies on AI, and they're a bit cautious on AI, no, in terms of its adoption in various sectors. No, in fact, the EU guideline even has had a category for AI technologies that should be banned, not fit for certain purposes. So I think as we proceed with the momentum and try to approximate probably a development process, we should also be very cautious, critical, and of course aware, no, that there could also be pitfalls, there could be gaps, no, in the work that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis, no, for emphasizing the importance of collaboration, cooperative agreements, not only between and among our institutions, education institutions, like with UPOU, UP Diliman, no, but also with our partners, no, from other countries, no, partners whom we have met in the course of this MICROCASA project. At the same time, you have raised a caveat. No, you have told us to be clear-eyed about the possible hype, no, on micro-credentials, and then to be also aware, mindful of some risks posed by AI, no, technologies. No. Thank you. Are there other questions or comments, reactions from the floor? Yes, thank you. Please introduce yourself. No.
Good afternoon. I'm Richelle Herong from the School of Educational Studies. I'm also from the Philippines. I'm a faculty scholar here. I would like to ask Professor Dato Samat, because you're very known for micro-credentials, and my lecturer, my supervisor, is also Dr. Siti Zoraida, and she's emphasizing about micro-credentials. I've created courses, but it's not fit for the micro-credential, but then I'm very well aware how you establish your micro-credential here. My question is on the sustainability and digital transformation sense, because I want to know how you handle the evaluation. The evaluation is that when the micro-credential, I know it's a set of content activity assessment. Oftentimes, when we have to evaluate it, sometimes the content may not too relevant, or sometimes the assessment is not relevant in the present time. How do you keep track of your of the evaluation of the micro-credential? Do you, if it's not relevant anymore, do you discard it, or do you create a new one? Because if you keep creating a new one, then it's not too sustainable because you have to go all over again. I want to know how it's done here in USM. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Maybe I'm not the right person to answer the question, but I'm not into technical of micro-credential. I'm more on managing staff who work on micro-credential. So Dr. Anusha probably. My expert is behind that.
Or if not, anyone from UP or you perhaps how your micro-credentials are being evaluated so that it's sustainable. It doesn't, like, you don't have to overhaul everything again.
Well, first on the point that you ask, well, micro-credentials should be relevant because they are industry-driven, they're sector-driven. So we usually develop micro-credentials based on the need of the industry or a particular sector. So if that's relevant, then we have to question, why did you develop that micro-credentials in the first place? Second, in terms of assessment, most of our assessment are automated, but it depends on a particular course. Some still demand teacher assessment. So at UPOU, we have a very comprehensive way of designing our courses. For our project, we did use AI, the Codigraph, and it actually helped in redeveloping our micro-credentials. But for the rest of the micro-credentials that we do, we do a very comprehensive instructional design following what was shared earlier from the USM perspective. So I think it should be relevant, definitely. And if it's not relevant anymore, then it should be revised. Yeah, for example, you revised certain learning outcomes, learning activities, the assessment. It's important that all of these components are aligned, because we don't want to offer a micro-credential that is not relevant anymore. For example, our DWCT, the Digital Workplace Competency Training, we developed that a year ago, then we revised it based on the current trends and based on the evaluation that we did. We had an evaluation for the course and we did the code graph. So we revised it based on that. And then the next offering, we may reevaluate it again if we need to revise some portions of it.
Okay. So in other words, micro-credentials by their very nature are not static, no? Because they are driven by the needs of a society. And in that light, they could always change and the content as well as, I guess, the assessment tools, no? And these are always being evaluated, no, by the learners. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add, Anusha here at the back.
Okay.
Okay, so for USM context, I think that's what maybe you're asking. So we are very well, I would say, we establish a proper workflow. So I think, have you heard about our platform on MICMOS? Okay, so we just launched it, I mean, it's very recent, last year. So we have a platform now. We call it as a platform to guide the developers from the first stage up to you can actually publicize your micro-credential. So through the platform, the developer could submit the content mapping, we will say, and we have a group of quality verification expert. So the CDAE basically in charge of this. We will assign to the expert to look at your content mapping. Is it complying to a micro-credential design or not? Because we have a certain mapping expectations, meaning to say it's not just content, and not content is with fully AI generated, for example, how length the video should be. So we have a checklist as well for the developer. Before you develop your content, you can look at the checklist and you comply to that. So this quality verification expert will advise you if there's something you need to modify, you need to enhance, everything. So after you are done with the correction, you resubmit. If it is all okay, then we publicize on the open learning platform. That's what we are using at USM. And obviously, what is not recorded on MICMOS is actually the target customer or your client market survey, which I actually advise everyone that have intent to develop a microcredential. You should do this. You should know who you want to offer your microcredential. Without a target participant, you are just developing, I mean, it's for fun. Either it can be an existing student within the courses, because microcredential doesn't mean everything must be online. You can do a hybrid microcredential, so it's how you design it. Maybe you want to content deliverable is on microcredential platform, and then you have face-to-face like enhancement program or final exam that it comes in to take. So there are ways to do that. You can contact CDA lah if you want the more detail. But I think the flow of in USM is pretty standardized already and guided, I think. And soon we are going to launch also a structured training program that we are going to call as Flexi Lifelong Learning training programs, where you can actually go through the training program and you get to know how to actually develop this kind of lifelong learnings modules. Yeah, so that's going to kick off this year. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Anusha, for that very informative response. And of course, thank you to Richelle Heron, whose question sparked such an interesting discussion. Thank you. May we hear from others? Are there other questions, comments, or reactions? Or if you would like to share your own experience as inspired by any of what our speakers have said? None? Okay, no? So maybe as a way of attempting to summarize this session, I will try to make a summation of this panel session on sustainability and digital transformation. We have gathered at this conference during a pivotal moment for higher education, one defined by digital transformation, accelerating labor market change, and an urgent call for sustainability and inclusion. At the center of this convergence stands a powerful instrument that we have attempted to understand and grapple with since yesterday, microcredentials. As we have learned from our 5 keynote speakers, the resource persons at the 2 panel sessions, including our resource persons this afternoon, and from the speakers of the 8 parallel sessions, we have learned that microcredentials are not merely smaller qualifications. Because properly designed and governed, microcredentials represent a systemic shift in how learning is delivered, recognized, and made accessible, especially for learners who have been historically excluded from formal education pathways, such as vulnerable populations during natural hazards and disasters, persons deprived of liberty, indigenous peoples, overseas contract workers or migrant workers. So to say something brief about the 4 topics that this panel 2 sessions sought to explore this afternoon, first, on the theme of digital transformation of higher education. Digital transformation is not simply about putting courses online. It is about building a digital learning ecosystem, platforms that encourage integrated curriculum design, assessment, credentialing, learning analytics, and recognition across institutions and borders. At this panel session 2, we learned particularly from Professor Peter C. and Chancellor Joane Serrano about the importance of national frameworks that allow portability not only across institutions but also across countries. On the second theme, on the topic of microcredentials as catalysts for labor upskilling and employability, the global labor market no longer rewards credentials alone. No? It rewards skills, adaptability, and evidence of competence. Microcredentials respond directly to this reality by enabling the rapid upskilling and reskilling aligned with emerging workforce needs. Now, for example, we heard Chancellor Joane discuss how UPOU tries to upskill and reskill 10 million Filipino overseas contract workers. So there has to be an alignment with national skills development systems that bridge education, employment, and lifelong learning. And this is why Dr. Dennis Batangan's elaboration on how microcredentials have and can benefit health workers, no? To the DWCT program, no? Also, Dr. Sudaparios is very much appreciated. On the third theme of institutional empowerment and regional cooperation, and in particular, Europe, Southeast Asia, North-South collaboration, as our MICROCASA consortium project has shown, regional cooperation between Europe and Southeast Asia offers a powerful opportunity to co-create, and I like the word co-create, co-create shared standards, mutual recognition frameworks, and interoperable digital platforms for micro-credentials. Speaking for myself, and perhaps I am articulating the same for many, if not all, of MICROCASA project consortium partners, I believe that the MICROCASA project, as an example of regional North-South collaboration, has been reciprocal and not extractive. No? Indeed, the MICROCASA project has sought to empower institutions in Southeast Asia, not merely as implementers, but as co-designers and innovators. And I would like to think that the benefits have occurred in both directions. That is, that our partners from Europe have likewise learned from us, their Southeast Asian partners. On the fourth topic of sustainability beyond project cycles, which involves embedding microcredentials systemically, perhaps the most critical question we confront now, this is the penultimate session. After this, we have the closing ceremony of the conference. So perhaps the critical question we confront now is, what happens after the MICROCASA project ends at the end of this month? No? Of course, sustainability requires moving beyond pilot and initial undertakings towards institutional and systemic embedding. This includes the creation of governance frameworks, clear institutional policies, definitely funding, organizational backing, and capacity building, which many of us, I've been talking to Dr. Batangan about this, which many of us hope that capacity building can continue beyond the MICROCASA project. So through these mechanisms, governance, funding, capacity building, cooperative agreements, among others, digital transformation can endure beyond funding cycles and political timelines. So allow me to conclude this panel session on a higher note, one that brings us back to purpose. Microcredentials are not just educational innovations, especially for us in the Philippines, and I'm sure for Malaysia too. Microcredentials are instruments of social justice. They directly contribute to SDG 4, Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is about ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all by opening flexible pathways to learning across the life course, especially those who have been disadvantaged. And microcredentials also propel SDG 10, which is on reducing inequality within and among countries by enabling access to recognized learning for those traditionally left at the margins, persons deprived of liberty, indigenous peoples, women, migrant workers, rural learners, displaced workers, among others. In doing so, microcredentials, we all believe, respond to the clarion call of the Sustainable Development Goals articulated by the United Nations. Leave no one behind. So microcredentials say to learners everywhere, your learning counts, your skills matter, and your future deserves recognition. If we design microcredentials with integrity, inclusivity, and sustainability, they will not only transform education, they will help shape a more just, resilient, and connected world. So thank you to the 4 panelists of panel session 2, Dr. Narimah Samat, Professor Peter C., Chancellor John Serrano, Dr. Dennis Batangan, for your inputs and your stories and your insights this afternoon. Finally, thank you to all of you for your active listening and participation. As we say in Filipino, in the Philippines, maraming salamat po. Thank you. Thank you.
Always better synthesizer.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dr. Marici and all the panelists, Prof. Dato Narimah, Prof. Peter C., Prof. Joane, and Dr. Dennis. Since we finished early, don't move. Okay, we are going to proceed with the closing ceremony so that we can all go home early today. Okay, so we're going to start with the closing sessions now. Dr. Guna will start. Guna, MC will start.
Good afternoon, Professor Dr. Armin Weinberger, Coordinator, MICROCASA Consortium, Dr. Nick Noliati Fitri Matno, Deputy Dean, Academic Career and International School of Distance Education, USM, representing the Dean, School of Distance Education, University Science Malaysia, distinguished keynote speakers, and participants of MICROCASA Conference 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of the MICROCASA International Conference 2026, we now move to our first closing item, Project Legacy and Next Chapter. This session reflects on the key achievement of MICROCASA, the partnership forged, and the roadmap beyond this conference towards sustaining micro-credential for lifelong learning and employability across Southeast Asia. It is now my great pleasure to invite Professor Armin Weinberger from University of Saarland, Project Coordinator of the MICROCASA Consortium, to deliver Project Legacy and Next Chapter. Professor Armin, the floor is yours.
Yes. Hello. Yes, it's good. Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure for me to, reflect on the conference. And really, what's the point of coming together? We traveled so incredibly far. The time, my inner clock is now I'm waking up right now. So time for party. But yeah, so what's the point really to come together? Oh, so much work and all this time, blah, blah, blah. Is there a point? We have some experience of working together, and it's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. If you take the European Union as an example, right? Different countries, different languages, different cultures, and really, whenever the EU is mentioned, it's just like a scapegoat. If something doesn't work in your own country, then the EU is its fault. It's terrible, really not working at all. And there are even jokes being made about this. Peter likes this one especially. I put this up there for you. It's just a joke. It's not a scientific contribution. Please be aware there is no truth in that. Maybe except for the Swiss. But other than that, it's really, really not true. And especially with the Italians, they are perfect organizers. And really, at least the ones I know, I'm actually serious now. But in spite of the difficulties to work together, other people, always difficult, having their own minds and so on, horrible. But there is beauty and there is knowledge. At least that's my experience. And maybe I'm naive. I learn so much I only learn by others, actually. So there's an aesthetics in it, and there's also richness and knowledge in working together. But it's not only different cultures, it's actually also coming together from different disciplines. So this is terrible as well, yeah. And thinking about the university, there are so different disciplines, and they all have their jargon. They talk differently. Basically, in such a project, you take 3 years to understand each other, and then the project is over. So this is a problem. The other problem is also that, of course, which one is the most important discipline? That is a very important question. Of course, it's always one's own. Yeah, one's own discipline is the most important one. The others, okay, they exist, but one's own. That's the problem. So, for instance, mathematics, the whole world is math. For the chemist, the entire universe is chemistry. And then, of course, the final word, the very essence of reality, is beginner Spanish. I love this so much, I just had to show it to you. But again, I believe, all not true, again, not scientific, but I believe that the interesting problems of this world, I think I said it yesterday already, the complex problems, they require multiple disciplines. So there is no choice, we have to work together. And actually, it can work, and this is what a conference like this actually shows, because I thought that I was very interested in the contributions across the different disciplines. I thought it was fascinating to see how you're working with AI and how these different micro-credentials look like in different disciplines. I thought that's really, really great. So thinking together, is it working? Well, and now here comes something important, I think, because I've read a book. Sometimes that happens. I read a book, and this book is fantastic. It kind of rekindled my interest in my own discipline. So it's very important to me because it's about how we reason together. And they found that actually human beings are very bad at assessing their own arguments. Yeah, it's not our strength, actually. Is what we are claiming, what we're saying, is it really true? We're bad at judging that, really bad at that, for reasons. But we are excellent at judging the arguments of others, right? So that's what we're good at. Yeah? If we manage to make people or ourselves believe that the arguments presented us are not our own, but from others, we are again able to criticize them. So to reflect upon them, to think, are they really true? So you say, maybe, oh, this is a bad outset for working and thinking together. But no, that exactly is the reason why we have to think together. Because we're so bad at reflecting on our own argumentation, we are meant to listen and to scrutinize what others are saying, and they will scrutinize what you are saying. And that is not the end of the story, that's the beginning of thinking together. So it's very fundamental in that sense, what I would call distributed cognition, that we are actually thinking together in distributed minds. It's a bit radical because, of course, our thinking is happening between our ears, but the reality is that we're actually, when we're thinking together, talking together, we're actually exceeding the individual mind. Or at least that's what this book is saying. And I kind of think it's a very interesting notion. Right, good. So this is one idea. I want to see it for these closing remarks. Sorry, I just needed to say this because I'm so enthusiastic about this. So thinking together, yes, that's why we are here at this conference. And did we think together? What did we think together at this conference? Well, I was looking at a couple of things, as I said, things coming up again. I learned a lot. I thought the contributions were really, really great. And not only the keynotes, but also the sessions that I attended to, I thought that were amazing. Now, the question is, of course, what is the future? What are we doing as MICROCASA? So we are working together since 2016. That's 10 years. Some marriages last shorter than our little consortium here, which allows us also to understand each other better. So that's good. And that's why we are, I think, quite successful here. And we're now, of course, thinking of what's then the next step to take. That's one thing. The other thing is that we're in a process of tying institutions together with these memorandum of understandings. There are some that have already happened. Some are on the brink of happening. So right in this moment. And that's, of course, wonderful to also have these more sustainable connections here. And maybe some principles of our way of working together is this orientation to learn from each other. At least that's true for myself. I think every one of you is super smart, so I benefited a lot also from these 2 days. So thank you very much. It's really going in both directions, and we are collaborating at eye level. We share interest, intention, and intelligence. That's good. That's 3 I's. I think I should patent that. Yes. So we are going in the in the same direction. And I thought it was interesting to see how we are working on the very real problems together. Let's not deny that there are challenges as well. So this orients us towards the future. And with that, I really need to say something. And I need to say, terima kasih. There are quite some people here that have been working incredibly hard, and I want to say thank you. So there is one person sitting right here who is a nuclear reactor. Please give her a hand. Yes. Please accept this. Yes, Radziah, it was hard to organize a conference, but I think it paid off. And there is another person that I would like to thank. Anusha, would you do me the favor to come down here for a second? Thank you for your applause. And please come. Please come. Yeah, these two people have made this happen with lots of effort. And of course, there is a larger team. Thank you so much. These are the people I thank, representing all of you.
You got a surprise for us. Thank you so much.
Yes. So this is wonderful in Malaysia. We don't have this in Germany, or do we? I guess we can also have flowers delivered, but not through one app. I think there's a business model here. So it's really great. Grab. Or is there another? Is there another service like this? Anyway, so then there is another person I want to thank who has not so much to do directly with this conference, but a whole lot for MICROCASA in the project, and that is Isabel Liberado. Isabel, would you do me the favor and come out here?
Especially for her.
You have to go over here. Yes, there is really. Sorry. Yeah, and there's lots to be grateful for, really. And last but not least, I would also, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank you for your interest, for your attention. I had lovely conversations. They are, how to say, something to remember. So thank you so much for your hospitality. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your interest, all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Armin Weinberger, for that meaningful reflection and for guiding the MICROCASA journey and its next chapter. Distinguished guests, we will now proceed to our final segment for the closing ceremony. It is now my honor to invite Dr. Radziah Adam, Chairperson of MICROCASA International Conference 2026, to deliver the closing remarks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good afternoon. Salam sejahtera, everyone. Professor Armin, okay, coordinator of MICROCASA Consortium, all my consortium partners, okay, all presenters, all participants. Okay, so we have come to the end of MICROCASA Conference, International Conference 2026. And before I continue with the official speech, I would like to continue with Armin's remarks. I'm an economist. Okay, one of the lessons in economics is there's no such thing as a free lunch. So whatever that you have eaten the past 2 days, remember you have to take home something. You have to deliver something. Okay, it's not free lunch in that sense. Okay, so as we conclude the MICROCASA International Conference 2026, allow me to extend my heartfelt appreciations to each and every one of you for your participations, contributions, and commitment over the past 2 days, and also before that, definitely. We have just heard the Project Legacy Next Chapter reflection by Professor Armin Weinberger. So these are timely and important because the true measure of any capacity building initiative is not what it completes, but what it enables next. Okay, new practices, stronger partnership, and a durable ecosystem that continue to learn and improve. Throughout this conference, our discussion has converged on a clear message. Micro-credentials are most valuable when they are trusted by learners, institutions, quality assurance bodies, and employers. Trust is earned through coherent governance, transparent standard, meaningful assessment, and recognition pathway that make learning portable and credible across contexts. In that spirit, MICROCASA has contributed more than a set of activities. It has helped build shared language and practical tools for implementation through evidence, institutional development planning, and sustained dialogue across Southeast Asia and Europe. These outputs are not endpoints, they are resources that we must continue to apply, refine, and scale responsibly. Remember, no free lunch. At Institute Science Malaysia, we are honored to host this conference at a time when it also marks the 55th anniversary of the Distance Learning Program, SDE, where I come from, my school. So this SDE legacy reminds us that flexible learning is a long-standing commitment that must continue to evolve, guided by quality, inclusions, and relevance. Micro-credentials, when designed well, are a natural extension of that legacy. Agile, outcome-based pathway that meet learners where they are, support lifelong learning, and respond to workforce and societal needs. I would like to convey our sincere appreciations to the European Union through the Erasmus Plus program for supporting MICROCASA, to the delegations of the European Union to Malaysia, and to all MICROCASA consortium partners for the trust and collaboration that made this initiative possible. I also thank all keynote speakers, industry talk, panelists, moderator, presenter, and participants for sharing insight and practical experiences that will strengthen the region's micro-credentials landscape. To our organizing committee, scientific committee, okay, at the back and in front here, and the USM team who work behind the scenes, thank you for your unwavering commitment and dedication. Your effort ensure that the conference runs smoothly and our delegates are well supported. I'm sure they all agree. As we move forward, I invite all partners and stakeholders to focus on three shared priorities. This is almost the end, don't worry. First, to strengthen quality assurance and recognition framework so that micro-credentials are comparable, stackable, and meaningful to employers and learners. And second, to invest in capability, learning design, assessment literacy, and data-informed improvement so that micro-credentials deliver real learning and real impacts. And third, let us sustain the community of practice that we have built, okay, by continuing to share evidence, co-create solutions, and align our effort across institutions, agencies, and industries. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for being part of MICROCASA 2026. I wish you a safe journey home, and I look forward to our continued collaboration as we shape the future of learning in Southeast Asia. So with that, we have come to the end of MICROCASA International Conference 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Radziah, for the closing remarks and for your continued support for the program. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the MICROCASA International Conference 2026. On behalf of the organizing committee and all MICROCASA partners, thank you for your active participation, insights, and collaboration throughout the conference. We wish everyone a safe journey home, and we look forward to continued collaboration in advancing micro-credential for lifelong learning and employability in the region. Thank you and good day.
I think you're going Friday, right? Friday, the table talk on Friday. Yeah, Friday is